Hey guys, Travis Gillespie, and in the last video we looked at correlation and identifying correlation of data. Well, now we're going to look at using a scatter plot to make predictions. And in the following problem, we're asked to use the data to predict the exam grade for a student who studies for 8 hours per week. I'm just going to write that fact down, 8 hours per week, and we'll come back to it in a second. But let's look at a table that's given to us as well. So these are the typical exam grades and the amount of hours students put in to study for those exams. So we'll call this the hours studied. I'm just going to do HRS for short, hours studied. And that there we go, studied, and the exam grade. Cool. So we've got the hours studied in the exam grade, and the actual hours that people put in for the exam are 5, 9, 3, 12, and 1. So the people who studied for 5 hours typically got an 80 on their exam, while people who studied for 9 got a 95. And those who studied for 3 got a 75. 12, 98, and 1, and 70. Okay, so the next part here is to create a graph based off of it. And in fact, that graph's going to be a scatter plot. Choose my line tool. Cool. And go back and just start to fill in the important information here. Let's go back just a little bit here. I don't want to go into yesterday's section, but might have to just a little bit. Got a lot of space to write with here. And I'm going to say, okay, well, this is the actual grade. And this is the hours studied. And remember, grade goes on the vertical axis because it depends on the amount of hours put into study. Alrighty, and I'm just going to make some marks here. I'm going to label these. I'm going to change my pen real quick back to my cool brush that I haven't really used much of. But I'm going to use intervals of 2 here. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. And now let's just say, here's 50. Let's call this 70. And 90. Just going to do a halfway mark in between both of these. So this would be 60 here, and that would be 80 there. Cool. So now the next point is, let's start plotting points on my scatter plot. Use a new color here. Let's go with a purple. So the first score here at 1 hour will be 70. So about halfway, and that's about 70 there. Cool. So now the next point would be, 3 hours is a 75. 3 hours will get you a 75. And then 5 hours is an 80. then, well, 9 hours got a 95. And finally, 12 hours get a 98. That would probably be about 100 right there for 12 hours. Okay, so now I'm going to create a line of best fit here. This looks to be a positive correlation as the numbers or values of hours studied increases, the grade also increases. So my line of best fit looks to go something like that. The line of best fit, when you place it or put it down into place, it comes close. You put it at a point to where it comes closest to all of the points on the scatter plot. So what would a person, remember the question saying, hey, what it wants us to do is predict what a person would get if they studied for 8 hours a week. What would they get on the test? Well, it looks like, well, let's see here. This is probably close to 90. Um, if I were to scroll out here, yeah, it looks like 8 hours is probably a little bit greater than 90. So we're probably looking at about 91 or 92 according to this graph. A student who studies for 8 hours per week should probably earn a 91 or a 92. And this is just a guess or a prediction based on this scatter plot here. So looking at a scatter plot and trying to interpret the data with the line of best fit, it allows me to not only read into the data, such as uh, 3 hours gives me a 75. That allows me to read into this data. It allows me to also read around the data by saying, hey, at 8 hours where I don't have any data taken, I can assume that a person would get 91 to a 92 or best predict. Cool, neat stuff. Have fun with your scatter plots. They are powerful.